Morning.
Morning. Hello.
Hi guys.
You did.
Hi guys.
Alright guys, so looking live in the broadcast section, we'll keep that embargoed until it finishes. Recording. Then we'll move into the section of papers, embargoed until 10:30 tonight. And we will start with Mark from ITV Central.
Hi Ruud, good to see you. After last week, how's the mood been here in the training ground?
Of course, the disappointment the disappointment on the game, which we didn't see coming after the Spurs performance, was painful, and it was very disappointing. And of course, we evaluate, we go through the game with the players where we have to improve, and then you start going back to work again. So that is what happened.
Was it extra frustrating because of the performance against Spurs to start like that against Everton?
It's clear. It's clear. Players know that. Everybody knows that. If you start a game like that in the Premier League and you're 2-0 down in 5 minutes, you're going to give yourself an impossible task almost. It didn't happen so far in the season that we had a start like this. Overall, we have very good starts of games. This was a bad one.
We'll get on to it being Manchester United, of course, but the FA Cup, it's a cliche that many managers get asked, particularly those of clubs that are struggling at the bottom. But the FA Cup coming up this point of the season for you when you are leading points in the Premier League, is it a distraction? Is it welcome?
It's always welcome. And we have time enough to recover. We had time enough to prepare the game. So we're going absolutely do everything possible to be at our best. And it's never a distraction. You know, the FA Cup, to represent, to be represented in this cup is a privilege. We want to show what we're about in a fantastic away game at Old Trafford. So, yeah, it's more than welcome. These games on a Friday night is a dream for every player to play there.
Having played in the FA Cup yourself and of course won it, can it kickstart a season as well if you get a positive result in a good run?
Every game you do well and perform, you can add something to it, and the game that doesn't go well, you recover. So you see it also after Spurs. You win, and then all of a sudden, it's not a guarantee you keep winning. So when you lose a game, we lost 7 in a row. It's not a guarantee you lose. So we won Spurs. So being a professional, you're dealing with that every game, and you get on with it and start with a clean mind and focus for the next one. It's what it's about.
And a return to Old Trafford for yourself, but in the other dugout. I believe at the time when you left recently, you said that you were hurt by how things had ended. How's it going to feel for you going back to Old Trafford now?
It's special to go back there. Of course, the history as a player, history as an assistant manager, history as a caretaker manager. That is part of me and always will be. But from tomorrow, the focus is on my players, my team, to have the best, to get the best out of them possible and perform and show what we're about in the approach of the game, in the mentality, in the fight, in the spirit, and that reaction we are willing to deliver tomorrow evening.
Can you separate the emotion of the occasion for you personally, or can you use that as well?
No, it's fine. I'm focused on performing. I'm focused on preparing the team to be at their best, prepare the team in the best way possible in any parts of the game, and then players go out there and do it and show that they're together and what they're worth.
You talked about how the FA Cup is important and a privilege. Your memories of the 2004 final when you scored twice, a wonderful day for yourself?
Yeah, no, good memories there. But you be able to win a final, able to lose a final, able to get knocked out in the 4th round, able to get knocked out in the 5th round, it's like, it's football. You do everything you can. It doesn't work, you move on, and you take the best bits with you for life. I mean, the medal is in a spot in my home in the Netherlands, so it's there forever. So it's something I cherish. It's something I'm proud of. And but for us as Leicester City, the FA Cup is a great stage to show what you're about. It's also fantastic to add young players into my squad tomorrow. A 15-year-old and a 16-year-old. They're going to be part of the squad tomorrow. Going to be even on the bench tomorrow. So it's also something that are occasions where these things can also happen and opportunities for players.
Thanks, Ruud. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thanks. We'll go to Owen from BBC Radio Leicester.
Hi, Ruud. Good to see you. You talked there about the 15 and 16-year-old. I mean, one of those many people might assume would be Jeremy Monga, who is...
Good guess, yeah. Jeremy Monga, they have names, the 15-year-old and the 16-year-old. So the 15-year-old is called Jeremy Monga and the 16-year-old is called Jake Evans. They'll be part of the squad tomorrow.
You've spoken about those two players before, I think Jake last week and Jeremy as well. How important to be able to give players like that coming through the academy that kind of pathway and that vision as to what they will be able to go on to achieve and achieve it now as well as being part of the squad?
Of course. I mean, the moment I came, I've always worked from the Netherlands. Of course, it's a country where you develop players, and in the Eredivisie you sign them on to other teams in the Premier League or the other bigger leagues. So in my time in PSV, it was great to be part of the development of Cody Gakpo, Noni Madueke, Xavi Simons, Jared Brandtwaite, Johan Bakayoko, Ismail Saibari. It's fantastic as a manager, working with these lads, learning them the trade of what it's like to be a professional, what's the lifestyle about, what is the approach, what's the mindset, and then you talk about things on the pitch, develop them as players and as human beings. So same here. First thing I did was looking at the under-21s, the under-18s, join them in for regular first team training, get an idea of them. Yeah, it's not only looking outside to strengthen. Of course, there's a great academy here, and I look inside to strengthen. And when players are good enough, the age doesn't matter to me, and they can help the squad and the team.
Just finally on these two players, I know you said before that Jeremy Monga has the attention of the footballing world, I think was your phrase a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is having them involved in games like this and proving there is a pathway from academy to 21s to the first team a good way of convincing them that their future should be at Leicester City? I
think it's what it's about. I think a talent decides on his pathway what's best for the player, which pathway. And this club is a great pathway for young talents to get first team training, first team football in the Premier League at that age. You know, there are not many clubs who can offer that.
And looking at your availability for the squad tomorrow, Wilfred Ndidi, how is he doing?
Wilfred is fine. He had a great week of training last week and this week, and he'll be part of the squad tomorrow. Any
fresh injuries ahead of the game tomorrow?
No, there's a couple with some light injuries, so they will be assessed today, see if they can travel or not. But there's a couple, 2 or 3 with some light injuries that are doubtful for tomorrow, and you will see tomorrow later on when we announce the squad.
This is the first time we've spoken to you since the end of the January transfer window, something I'm sure you were pleased to have ended. Were you disappointed in the end that the club weren't able to bring in any more players on top of Wio Koulibaly, who joined earlier in the window?
I think it's not a question of being disappointed or happy, it's a question of reality. And it's clear where the club stands and what the reality is of the club in this moment, where we have to deal with. The opportunities and restrictions go hand in hand, and we had to deal with this. Of course, I said to you before, we need strength. We need to strengthen. We need to impact the team with impact players. We weren't able to get them. Simple fact. because of the balance of opportunity and restrictions. That is the reality. We tried, but as I said, the focus was on impact players, strengthen the squad, and we did with Vojo Koulibaly. We were able to strengthen, but other possibilities weren't possible.
People, fans, media will wonder whether something maybe changed during the transfer window. When we spoke in December, you said that there was money to spend, and then obviously there was the sale of Tom Cannon and Hamza Chowdhury leaving on loan.
Yeah.
Was there something that changed, or was it that the money perhaps raised from the sale of Tom Cannon wasn't enough to, like you say, impact the squad?
Yeah, the conversations in November before I joined the club were clear. Of course, then you enter a process together where you prepare the window and the figures and everything is presented to you. I was part of that along the way. And the idea was that there were certain possibilities, but when really the numbers came on the table, it turned out to be different. And we had to reassess, look at the possibilities within that framework, and the only thing, of course, the addition is Koulibaly, and we go on with this squad.
And just finally from me, Ruud, you have played and won a lot of games at Old Trafford as a player and scored a lot of goals as well. What is the key to getting a result there tomorrow?
It's not only at Old Trafford. I mean, we've seen in the spell that I've been here now for 8 or 9 weeks, we've shown that what we're capable of. In big spells during games, we reach a high level in off the ball, on the ball, but the consistency is still failing. You can also see it from game to game. When you see the Spurs performance as a whole, you see a certain level that we can reach as a team, and the week later, it's nowhere near that. So consistency is the word. The consistency, it's not a button you can switch on or off. Consistency is work, is lifestyle, is mindset, is using everything within this beautiful building to become a better football player. And that's what I'm working on. These standards, they have to be raised. Every day, the day-to-day standards have to improve to become more consistent. And that is my job, and that is what my standards were as a player and as a current manager, as a person, how I see professional football, how you should live that on and off the pitch. And I'm sharing that every day with my players and all the staff here. And those standards are part of me, is my DNA, and every day I'm telling everybody, okay, this is not the standard, or yes, this is the standard. And if we can all live to those standards, I think we can become more consistent. But it's not something that from 8 to 9 weeks that you can change that so far. We have still time. And I believe that we can do that.
Ruud, thank you very much. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, so we'll go to Charlie from BBC. You're good? Okay, next we'll go to Gail at Sky.
Ruud, you talked about reassessing the possibilities.
Sorry, Gail, just get the mic back to you.
Oh.
I can hear her, but...
Yeah,
just
I've got
for
All right.
guys in the system.
You talked about reassessing the possibilities in this transfer window.
Yes.
How much tougher then does it make your job of keeping this side in the Premier League, and how confident are you you've got enough in there to do that?
Yeah, first question is clear. Of course, when you can strengthen the team, your chances will increase to stay in. That is a fact. Also, the reality that within as I said, the opportunity and the restrictions, it wasn't possible to strengthen. So the means weren't there to do so, to strengthen the position we already have in Premier League additions to the squad. So it wasn't possible. Also, the loans from England were blocked because we have already 2 Premiership loans. The disappointing thing in that sense is that the 2 loans are not making those minutes that you want and strengthening the team in that sense. So we had to look at foreign loans. We had to look at other possibilities. So in the end, we live and accept the reality, and and yes, I still believe that if we can get more consistent, because of the levels that we reach within games or in certain games, then we showed we can do it. But it has to be 95 minutes per game and every game.
That must be quite disappointing for you guys to have those goalposts shifted. You look at the planning, what you intended to do, and then to not be able to do that.
Yeah, but the reality is not always as you wish. I was part of the picture, part of communication in every sense. So it didn't come as a surprise, that development from November towards the end of January, and reality set in. And then I'm quite pragmatic. Okay, let's get on with it. Get the most out of what we have. It's a lot. There's young talents, you know. If you can't get players in from the outside, we bring them up from the inside with talents. We have Wilfried Ndidi back. I see that as an addition. Mats Hermansen back, play the game. Our number one goalkeeper back as well. I see that as an addition. So I look at those things and positives and keep building.
You talked about the pain of having to leave Manchester United when obviously Ruben Amorim took over. I wondered what progress you'd seen from them, what sort of side you're expecting tomorrow night, because a certain Gary Neville actually said this week he thinks it's probably gone backwards.
Yeah, you know, I'm so happy that I don't have to analyze the Manchester United squad at the moment. I have enough work to do with my own. I leave that to Ruben. Of course, we analyze them as well and see where the possibilities are for us and where we have to be careful with. I know the players, I know the squad inside out, and that's what my focus is for me. Is the only thing that I am doing at the moment.
Well, they've only won 5 of the last 7. Sorry, they've lost 5 of the last 7 at Old Trafford. So you go there with confidence, and I'm not sure you'd have maybe thought that a few months ago.
I know we also have our own issues, you know, and it's up to us to look at us. I don't believe in sequences of teams. You know, you can always win a game of football after you lost a couple. And you can also lose one when you won a lot. Every game is a new one, is a new challenge. And away to Manchester United, being Leicester City, is always a tough one. But we want to represent ourselves in the best way possible and take it from there.
Just finally for me, the Premier League have spoken in the last couple of days about kind of imposing punishments on over-the-top celebrations that maybe slightly mock other teams. We've sort of seen a few incidents in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I wondered what you made of it, and a certain Vardy's been trending this morning because he does love a celebration, doesn't he?
Yeah, you know.
Is it part of the theatre? Do you enjoy seeing it?
Yeah, you know, let's not.
Players,
I mean, let's you know, a bit sense of humour in the celebrations. Let's not take that out of football. I mean, if it goes over the top and it disrespects in any way a culture or people or anything, it's not possible. But a bit of sense of humour is, for me, is still part of football.
Okay, all right, guys. We'll lift the embargo on the broadcast section there. We'll go into the